All right, today we're stepping into the classroom of the future. And you know what? It's a space that's being powered more and more by artificial intelligence. So we're going to break down how this really powerful technology is starting to reshape one of our most fundamental institutions, education. So let's just start with a question that has honestly bugged educators for decades. Think about it. How can one single teacher possibly tailor a lesson for a room full of 30 students? I mean, every single one of them has their own way of learning, their own pace, and their own unique needs. And that right there is what we call the classic classroom conundrum. The traditional, one size fits all model just, it struggles. It always has. Some students get left behind, while others who get the concepts right away are just sitting there bored out of their minds. It's an incredibly tough balance to get right. But what if there was a new tool to help solve this puzzle? Well, that's exactly where artificial intelligence comes in. AI is now entering the classroom with the promise of tackling this old school conundrum head on. Okay, so what are we actually talking about when we say AI in school? Let's just use a super simple definition here. We're talking about computer systems that can do things that normally, require a human brain. Things like analyzing piles of data, spotting patterns in student work, and then making personalized recommendations based on what they find. And this is where it gets really interesting, because you can see how it works in practice. These aren't just ideas. We're talking about intelligent tutoring systems that are basically a personal guide for every single student. Think about automated grading. It frees up teachers from all that routine work, which means they have more time for actual one-on-one teaching. Then there's learning analytics. This can spot a student who's struggling by noticing, say, how long they're stuck on a problem, or if they keep getting the same type of question wrong. That lets a teacher step in way earlier. And of course, AI writing assistants give instant feedback to help you get better at writing. And listen, this is not just a concept, it's already happening. Let's take a little trip around the world and see how schools are actually using these tools today. First stop, a country that's a total global leader in educational innovation and has gone all in on a tech-forward future, Singapore. So as part of their huge Smart Nation project, Singapore is weaving AI right into their schools. It's a national strategy. They're using these adaptive learning platforms that change the difficulty of math and science problems in real time. So you get a question right, the next one gets a little harder. You're struggling? The system gives you simpler problems, maybe even some hints. It creates a totally individualized learning pace for every single student. Pretty cool, right? And this whole evolution in education is absolutely happening across the globe. So now, let's hop over and see how universities in the United States are getting on board with this tech. Over in the US, you see a lot of this in higher education, especially in those massive online courses. Imagine automated systems that give you instant feedback on your essay structure or grammar so you can fix it right away. Or learning analytics that track how engaged you are, like how often you're posting in the discussion forums, so an instructor can reach out before you start falling behind. There are even virtual TAs, basically chatbots that can answer common questions 24/7. But like any technology that completely changes the game, putting AI in the classroom isn't happening without some serious debate. It's an incredibly powerful tool, and its story is one of both amazing promise and, honestly, some significant peril. And this lays out that tension perfectly. On one hand, the opportunities are huge, really personalized learning, making teachers way more efficient, smarter teaching methods, and making education more accessible. But on the other hand, the challenges are just as big. I mean, how do you protect academic integrity when an AI can write a pretty decent essay? What's happening with all that student data being collected? And what about the risk of just becoming too dependent on the tech, losing those crucial human skills? These are the massive questions every school has to grapple with now. So all of this brings us to a really pivotal moment. The decisions that educators, policymakers, and even students are making right now are literally shaping the future of learning for generations to come. Okay, so let's quickly wrap up the key takeaways here. First, there's no doubt about it, AI is changing teaching and learning. Second, its biggest strengths are in personalizing education and automating tasks like grading. Third, we're seeing global leaders like Singapore and the US really lead the charge. And maybe most importantly, the only way forward is this careful balancing act between jumping on innovation and protecting our ethics and academic integrity. Which brings us to one final, really provocative thought to leave you with. As we keep weaving these powerful tools into our schools, are we building a system that creates a more capable, more knowledgeable, more creative student, or are we just accidentally engineering a much more sophisticated way to cheat? The answer to that question is going to define the next chapter of education.